automobile links. I don't know what that is. I mean, I do learn, but I don't remember, so.
Hello, YouTube.
Hi, sorry.
But I think that actually came up in one of our cases recently.
Oh, it did? One of our criminal cases?
So just briefly say whatever. I don't know anything about that.
I was gonna look it up.
It was a 4-3 decision with Sotomayor writing a very angry dissent?
Oh no, Sotomayor wrote the opinion on an 8-by-1 opinion authored by Sotomayor.
Okay, then that is not the one I'm seeing. Whew. All right, I hope everyone is having a great Friday. We are just getting our Supreme Court cases together and trying to figure out what we're going to talk about. So it is 2 o'clock. We are going to go live on Facebook, but YouTube stands strong. There's always a good connection. All right. Bam! Happy Friday, Facebook. Thank you for joining us. YouTube has already been there as usual.
Yeah.
So welcome to Disclosure Live with Brandy Austin Law. I'm Brandy Austin here with
Carpenter.
It is Friday, August 10th. And we are going to talk about the Supreme Court decisions. I know we said we were going to talk about it 3 weeks ago, but we've had 3 speaking events. We have trial coming up next week. We've got a new attorney here. It has been very hectic. So, but we both we both get excited about rulings in Supreme Court cases from time to time.
Yes.
So this is important to us, and we want to share it with you regardless of how crunched for time we are. So I will go ahead and start with a couple of National Day ofs, and then we'll talk about a couple local things, and we'll jump right into it because we have 4 or 5.
We have about
5 cases to discuss, and the way it's going to work is she's going to give me some facts. I'm going to try to guess what was decided. I will likely be wrong because it's not always intuitive, and then she will tell me I'm wrong, and then we'll talk about it for a minute, and we'll move on. So today is National Lazy Day. LOL, am I right? That's not what happens here. So we're just going to pretend that we can celebrate National Lazy Day tomorrow on a Saturday.
Yep.
Okay, next.
National Brownie Brunch Month. So you guys can eat brownies at brunch. I mean, you can eat brownie anytime you want, but if you need a reason to eat brownie for breakfast, you've got it.
I don't think anybody needs extra reasons for. I love brownies.
And they already have the cereal with brownie bites in them. So you know.
No, I didn't know.
Yes.
Did you see the pan that had only outer sides where you can bake brownies in the little it's like swirly pan, and every brownie has an outside edge.
Huh.
So you have the warm or the outside crunchy part and the warm gooey.
Wow.
I know.
I know that. I just make them in the muffin pots or like the muffin maker pan.
Yeah, because they're round and portable.
Call them pot brownies.
That is right. This is also, what is this? August, I think, is National Black Business Month. There are 2.6 million Black-owned businesses in this country. And just like women-owned business and other minority-owned businesses, we like to celebrate and encourage people to start their own business and to thrive and to contribute to the economy. So if you know of a business that's owned by a Black person, maybe go and partake in buying something from their shop, store, service, restaurant, whatever is this month. And a positive review for them would be super helpful.
Yep.
Okay. In local news.
In local news, we have hungry kids in Tarrant County. The Arlington Animal Services wants to adopt every single pet this year at the Clear and the Shelters Day. So go on to the
August 18th.
August 18th
is Clear the Shelter Day. So you get to adopt so it's not National Hunger, it's not hungry kids.
Oh,
it's pets.
Oh, okay. My bad.
So they offer adoptions for reduced or no-cost fees so that they can clear the shelters for the incoming pets. It's August 18th between 9:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. I know that every animal shelter in North Texas, not every, I would say the majority of animal shelters in North Texas are participating in this. So whatever one is near you and you have room in your home to care and love for whatever pet, because I know in Fort Worth they have pigs, they have guinea pigs, so regular pigs, guinea pigs, hamsters, bunnies, goats. Sometimes I saw horses come around. Please only take these animals if you can afford them and have the time to care
for them.
because, we don't want them to have to be returned to the shelter.
No.
So, but the fee will be waived on August. I know in Arlington Highlands, the PetSmart, which is right up the street, they're gonna waive, the adoption fees for the cats. Cats or cat-seat homes, they will say you can't take this into account when you adopt, but older cats do tend to catch mice. So, if you want to love a cat on the indoors and need a cat to locate mice, maybe an idea to think of. Okay. And then, well, this is back to school tax-free weekend. So, if anybody can really shop and get the discounts because, office supplies, clothes and whatnot, tax-free. So, under $100 on items, feel free to go out and splurge a little bit. I'm sure the businesses will enjoy it. Yeah. All right, now we're gonna get started. All right, I'm not gonna look on there.
Nope. Okay, so the first case we have is Collins versus Virginia. In this case, on 2 different occasions in Virginia, a town in Virginia, the police officer saw a motorcycle violating traffic rules. So he did some investigation. He looked around. He found the house of the suspected driver. And he went to the house. He saw that the motorcycle was covered in the tarp in the driveway. So he's like, let me just walk on to what's called the curtilage of the house and just look and see if it's the motorcycle. He learned it's the motorcycle. In fact, it was stolen. So he waited and waited for the guy to come back. The guy came back and he let him know, hey, so I found your motorcycle. What's up? And he's like, yeah, I know it's stolen and I bought it from somebody who it was. So I knew it was stolen, but I bought it from somebody else. So the officer arrested him for receipt of stolen property. Now, the issue was whether if it was an illegal warrantless search and seizure by him lifting the tarp covering the motorcycle parked in the driveway.
Okay, so by him going onto the property with no emergent need for anything, I'm gonna say it was a warrantless search. That being said, the guy admitted, of course it's all fruit of the poisonous tree, but the guy did admit that he received stolen property from someone and knew it was stolen even though he purchased it. If you know something is stolen, you are still responsible. Do not take stolen property. I don't care if you have like some idea that it might be stolen. You could still be responsible. Anyway, okay. So I think that he probably, I'm gonna go with was a warrantless search and he should not have gone onto the property.
Yes, because the property, so the Judge Sotomayor wrote on this one, the opinion, that's it, on this one, and that's what the court said, that this was, the curtilage of the house is protected, and he has reasonable expectations of privacy, and so the officer shouldn't have gone. Now, he could have gotten a warrant based on the information he gathered, probably. Could he have, gotten a warrant and then gone to the property and then lifted the tarp? Probably.
So if he would have not gone over the property and he looked and saw that the motorcycle was likely there covered in a tarp, if he would have said, you know what, let me just talk to the homeowner when the homeowner gets home, and the homeowner would have said all of the things he said,
that's admitting to a police officer you have wrongdoing.
Exactly, it would have been the same. So, let me just take this opportunity to remind you not to speak to police officers if you may or may not be in trouble or questioned for something you may or may not have done. Call an attorney. Plenty of them are available. Happy to help. You can always call us, but you can call any attorney. And don't say a word. Okay, next.
If you called me, I probably wouldn't know anything, but I'd refer you to Jennifer in our office. All right, so the next one is Carpenter versus United States. So in April of 2011, the police arrested 4 men in connection with armed robberies, okay? One of the 4 guys confessed to the crimes and gave FBI cell phone numbers for the other counter participants. So the FBI used this information and asked the magistrate judge for an order to do what's called a transactional, to get a transactional records for each of the phone numbers, which the judge granted under Stored Communications Act.
I feel like that one is fine.
So the act provides specific and articulable facts showing that there are reasonable grounds to believe that the content of a wired or electronic communication or the records or other information sought are relevant and material to an ongoing investigation. So they took these records, and what they did was they found out the location the call was made from, and they found the cell towers and the time the call was made from, and on this particular date. And based on that, they charged the guy with the others with offenses of aiding and abetting a robbery. So the question was, does this mean warrantless search and seizure of cell phone records, which include the location and movements of cell phone users, violate the Fourth Amendment?
No, I'm going to say completely no. You can get, because there was reasonable belief because the fourth partner gave the information about these people and these phone numbers being used in the commission of a crime. More curiously, though, they were charged with aiding and abetting and not the actual robbery itself. So, anyway,
So the court, we're wrong. Just kidding. Well, the court said that it was retrieving these records and the use of it for it was an unreasonable search and seizure, and they didn't get the proper documentation. I guess it didn't. So I don't know a lot about criminal, but I guess it didn't. Whatever order that they got from the magistrate judge didn't comply with the Fourth Amendment search, and it was under the Stored Communications Act of.
They were probably only asking for text messages and phone calls and not location.
Yes,
you have to put that in there. You have to completely. So if that's the question, yes, you have to completely. You have to document everything you want, or it's not included.
And people have reasonable expectations of their privacy, particularly of their cell phone records and of where, the location you were at the time, and the GPS triangulate location.
But you can get that through a warrant if your warrant is proper.
Exactly.
So this is more of a failure on the part of the police department as opposed to, well, I guess the district attorney's office, not here in Texas, of course. But, okay, next case.
All right, so the next one, you will like this one. Okay, Masterpiece Cake Shop versus Colorado Civil Rights Commission.
Oh, no.
So a same-sex couple went to Masterpiece Cake Shop in Lakewood, Colorado, and requested that its owner, Jack Phillips, design and create a cake for the wedding for the same-sex couple. And Phillips said, well, no, I take great pride in my work, and I create cakes, and I show my form of art as to honor God, and not necessarily so it would displease his God, so he wouldn't be able to make the cake. So the couple filed charges of discrimination with the Colorado Civil Rights Division, and this went up to the Supreme Court with the question of whether, the commission came down and said, no, you have to make this cake for this couple, basically. So the guy appealed, came to Supreme Court, and it says that does the application of Colorado's public accommodations law to compel the cake maker to design and make the cake violate his religious beliefs about same-sex marriage and violate his free speech and free exercise clause of the First Amendment?
Well, freedom of speech is not, I don't know that this would fall technically. Okay. I think that as a private citizen, he can make whatever decision he wants to make on what he's selling. Does it rise to the level of discrimination? It is discrimination because he's saying very specifically, I am not making this because this person is in a homosexual relationship. Is he required under the First Amendment to do it anyway? I don't think so.
And you're right. That's what the court said. He's entitled to his First Amendment freedom of speech, and he is entitled and his religious beliefs, which is in the First Amendment, and that allows him to not bake a cake for religious purposes.
So, but that goes to everyone. Everyone is entitled to their beliefs without being forced to do something. So if a gay wedding planner refused to plan a wedding for a heterosexual couple, he could stand on that right.
Right, and they could go find a heterosexual, I guess, a wedding planner who would do a heterosexual wedding, or the other way around. The court, said we understand, we respect you that you are a same-sex couple. Find you another cake shop.
Yes. Also of interest, Master P is the name of the
Masterpiece.
Oh, okay.
Masterpiece Cake Shop.
You said Phillips. I thought the name was Master P Cake Shop. That was okay.
Jack C. Phillips is the name of the guy who owns the Masterpiece Cake Shop.
Okay, next.
Okay, you're gonna like this one because you like technology. So United States versus Microsoft. Microsoft has operated, they have email and such as form of Outlook.
Yes.
So they store a whole bunch of their data overseas, and they have their data all over the world.
Right.
Okay. So Microsoft was served with a search and seizure warrant for data that was for a particular user. I guess United States wanted that information for whatever reason, and the data center for this particular information is in Dublin, Ireland. So they provided all of the requested information in the warrant, but they also they asked to quash the warrant on the basis that the user data is stored in Dublin. And the magistrate judge denied the Microsoft motion to quash on the Stored Communications Act and authorized the district court to issue the warrant for this information that's overseas and saved in servers overseas. So they appealed, and the appellate court affirmed, reviewing it de novo. At the end of the day, the question came down of whether an email provider who has been served with a warrant, is he required to provide federal government with emails, even if they're stored outside of the United States.
So how far is the reach of
the
warrant?
The warrant under the Stored Communications Act. And the result of this, you will laugh, but I'll let you guess.
Okay, so my question is, the person, did they live in, so this is information on a person or business?
Person that lives here in the United States.
Oh.
But the information, the data stored is in Dublin, Ireland.
Well, our thing went away. The end user had, so the person that we were trying to get the data from had no control over where the information was stored.
Mm-hmm.
And Microsoft made the decision to store the information, I'm guessing based on some algorithm, not related to the location of the person. So I'm gonna get this. I know it's gonna make me laugh, but in my opinion, I think that if the person is a U.S. resident or business, or provides itself or subjects itself to the jurisdiction of the United States in some way, and has no control over the information storage, then there is no other place for, I assume that Microsoft's like, you need to go to Ireland to get a warrant for this information.
Microsoft just said, we don't have to comply with this because it's...
The thing is, the warrant is to cover a person, or to cover an investigation based on a person. You can't go to Ireland and subpoena records from a person that has not subjected itself to the jurisdiction of Ireland. So there has to be some way to get to that information, or information just goes, it can be rerouted and sent anywhere and unable to be subpoenaed, and so I assume the U.S. would not appreciate that. My guess is that there is some way to get that information.
Okay, so Supreme Court says we're not going to rule on this. So in the meantime, while this case was pending, the Congress and the President signed some law clarifying the Lawful Overseas Use of Data Act, which basically allows you to get possession, custody, and control of emails even stored outside of the United States. So the point, by the time it made it to oral arguments, was moot.
So, so as long as the person is somewhat under the jurisdiction of the U.S., there has to be. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree with the outcome of the case.
Well, yeah, I guess the legislature fixed the problem. They realized there was a problem and they fixed it
And
before the courts got to it.
And that's going to happen a lot in technology because as technology advances, problems that we didn't anticipate will come up. Like, who knew they would store it in Ireland? There's no way to get it in Ireland, you know, based on what Microsoft was saying. So anyway, okay, next one.
So the next one, everybody knows this one, Trump versus Hawaii. Everybody knows what happened when President signed executive order, which suspended entry for 90 days for foreign officials or nationals from 7 different Islamic countries.
I remember that, but what was the ultimate question? And
the question was whether the president has authority to do this. Does the president have authority under the statute to issue a proclamation like this when the Congress is already taking care of this by providing security measures for, because the issue was President was saying, well, we have to protect our borders from any terrorists coming into our country via these 7 countries. And so the Congress had already put in appropriate security measures in place according to the defendant's attorneys, or I guess the plaintiff's attorney bringing the lawsuit against Trump.
Oh, wow.
Right, and so he's an Indian man, by the way. I listened to the oral argument on this one. And his whole argument was that the Congress already took care of this. Why did the president have to sign a proclamation, putting these 7 countries?
But was the ultimate question, can the president issue a proclamation, or was it these specific 7 countries in this specific proclamation?
Both of those. Can the president issue a proclamation for these 7 countries and limit it just to these 7 countries?
Was it not limited? Did Congress limit it to the 7 countries?
Congress limited it to doing, checks and balances on the individuals that come into the country from this, but not the 7. It was generally all of the countries that are on the terrorist list or the U.S. list that they claim.
And why did we not want to do all of the countries, not just the 7?
I don't know why Congress didn't want to do that.
Or no, the president.
I don't know. He just picked the 7, and so the argument was that, does he have authority to do this under his federal power?
He does, but is this so? Technically, what I think I might be hearing you say is that so Congress put checks and balances in place.
That was the argument. Yes.
His checks and balances did not go any farther than what was already in place? Or
no, they did go farther than what the president had already placed, because he put in the 90-day requirement where he said that no foreign officials from these 7 countries can then come back within 90 days of them, leaving the country.
So that's the extra stuff that the president added?
There's some extra stuff that the president added over the stuff that Congress already done. And does the president, in his inherent powers, have the power to do a proclamation?
Yeah.
That's what the court said. I mean, he is
supposed to protect at all costs.
And he has control over foreign affairs, and that's his inherent right, and it's explicitly his. I mean, the Congress, Congress also has some power over the foreign laws, but...
Right, because there are checks and balances, and one of the checks and balances is, so there are 3 branches, the executive, legislative, and the court system.
Yeah. Yes.
So if the president puts something in place, the proper check is to bring it before the court, and the court will review and decide whether that was a proper display of authority, so to speak. And the issue that you hear a lot is that, the Supreme Court is decidedly one-sided at the moment, majority, because it's majority rule. It's
5-4.
Yeah, it'd be 5-4, and it's going to go with the 5. And the president gets to appoint people. The sitting president gets to appoint people when they decide to retire, thereby bolstering the one-sided
argument, I guess.
Yeah, so, is that an issue? Yes, it is. Should there be some sort of, so, the check on that is the legislature.
Congress gets to review them and decide if they're fit.
Right, so, but the requirement of fit is not quite as strict as one might anticipate. It's not like you're giving a list of people and Congress gets to choose the best person. The the legislative branch just gets to say this person is fit under the guidelines that we have to serve as Supreme Court Justice for the remainder of his or her life.
And they can question him, they can do a panel and ask him
Or her.
questions, or her, yes, they can do a panel and ask him or her questions and decide if they're fit, and they can ask him questions on, or her, questions on past cases that they've dealt, and the sides that they've dealt, and the whatever they represented.
So if you have a president that is decidedly one-sided and Congress is decidedly one-sided, that therefore makes a Supreme Court that's decidedly one-sided, then you run the risk of minimizing the beliefs and stances of the other side, which then creates civil unrest, and because people feel like their voices aren't heard. So that's kind of the situation that you're seeing a lot of and how we got to this point. Should there be something a little stricter on the fit qualification? I would say so. Do I think one person should just be nominated and that's the person that everybody should get behind? I mean, could we not put 3 to 5 up there, right? Because in any final category for a bigger job, 3 to 5 people are put before the board, and the board vets each one and decides which is the best candidate. I think, personally, I think that's probably a better idea, but this is what we have, this is what is currently in place, and this is what we're working with at the moment. So, you can remove someone.
Yeah.
It is difficult. It's like impeaching a president. It is a difficult thing to do. I don't know that anybody is warranted to be impeached. I don't know what it's called, 'cause I don't know that it's happened. I don't think anybody's done anything that would warrant that, because I believe it's misconduct and things of that nature. But it is an interesting place that we find ourselves. So, and these are interesting rulings, and every year over the summer, rulings come down from the Supreme Court that do affect our lives in one way or another. Specifically, there's a couple of good ones regarding warrants for your information and your property. You know, trespassing is kind of what it is. But breaching your property line by police officers without a proper warrant in place. So,
I was just going to add a couple of disclaimers. Some of the issues, there are multiple issues in all of these cases that the court addresses, and they're all fancy legalese terms for that. I didn't go too much into it. I picked the easiest topic and something that all of us can wrap our heads around. That would help us, and then I put it in much simpler terms. There's many more complicated facts involved in all of these cases, and we didn't touch base on that. And I got most of my information, through just research and doing research from OYES and whatnot.
So you can go to the Supreme Court of the United States. You can go to their website and you can pull the opinions, and you can read the majority opinion. One justice writes the majority opinion, and then whomever is in disagreement may write a dissenting opinion or not. It's up to them. Sometimes you get very colorful language. It can be interesting, but it is kind of heavy on legal terminology. But it is interesting to read if you want to find the full opinions with the full information and all of the questions and all of the answers and all of the new laws. And one more thing, I know that we talked about other states being involved, Virginia, and you're like, well, hey, we're in Texas. That's right, we are in Texas, but the United States Supreme Court, for lack of a better word, trumps anything that happens in Texas Supreme Court. So if the federal government says this is the way it's going to be, this is how it's going to be, the one option Texas has to say no generally will require Texas to forfeit some federal funding of some, or protection of some kind. So they don't do that.
We like money.
It does take money to make, the federal taxes, we want some of that, Texas is a big old state, it's like, what, number 2? So we want that money back because we put it in there. But, just assume that if a ruling is put down by the Supreme Court, that's the ruling that we as Texans, despite living in Texas and whatever, not the state where the original case appeared, that's the rule.
And we have to live by it, same as when same-sex marriage was legal and the Supreme Court said it's legal, we all live by it.
And we have to live by, regular private citizens being able to decide who they service and who they don't.
Exactly.
Quite honestly, sometimes I don't wanna have to, take on certain clients, and I will tell that information, and as long as it doesn't violate my ethical requirements to the state of Texas, then I can do that, and I appreciate that freedom, so, you know, it happens. Alright, so if you have any questions, put it in the comments, otherwise, happy Friday, thank you for watching, we will see you next week, and I'm Brandy Austin,
Isha Patel.
happy Friday,
Bye.
bye. I'm gonna get the YouTube.
Margaritas.
Where's the stop button? How do
It's
you?
in the top corner.
Oh, that?